I find a lot of the world scary. There are a lot of things I can't control, and as someone who cares deeply about the environment and the world, there is a lot to be worried about. But every so often, you find something that actually makes sense, something simple and joyful that makes the world better. So that's what I'm going to do. Hello! Welcome to Cozy Gardening. I'm Lucy, this is a new series. Hope you're feeling cozy, grab a cuppa, settle in. This is going to be a series for the people who really deeply care about the world. When you are someone that cares, it is so easy to get completely burned out. I understand this feeling so deeply. This is a show about little, fun, cozy things that we can do to refill our cups while we're looking after the planet. Ah, my cat. Hello, you want to come say hi to the people? This is Amos, and he's a good boy. This is where cozy gardening will come in. Okay, bye. We have two aims. One, we are going to create for ourselves a cozy gardening practice that helps us to connect with nature and gives us a little bit of a respite from all the happening in the world, so we can fill our cups back out and go out there and do all the good stuff that needs to be done. The second reason it is called cozy gardening is we are going to make gardens that are cozy for wildlife. There are so many places where habitat is being destroyed. It can be really scary and overwhelming to think about all of the impact of climate change, the habitat that's being destroyed, the insect populations that are going down, blah, 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 blah. Wildlife is just like us. It needs shelter, food and water, and we can do a lot in our own outdoor spaces to provide that for creatures that need it. And the more of us that do it, the more creatures will be able to survive the winter, breed in the spring, populations go up, happy days, happy environment. So today we're going to get started. This is my first vlog. I'm going to be bringing content about environmentalism, connecting with nature, cozy vibes, seasonal celebrations. So if any of that sounds like your vibe, please subscribe or send this to someone who might like to subscribe. Okay, let's get into our garden action for today. We just moved house, and this is the first time we've had a garden that is not at the whim of a landlord. So I'm so excited to make this a safe, cozy haven for us and also for wildlife. Today I'm going to do 3 autumn jobs that will help the garden to provide food for wildlife, either through the winter or as a food source when they come up next spring. Firstly, I need to sort out the windfall apples that are all around the tree. These are a great source of food for both us and also for birds throughout winter, but we just need to do a little bit of organising to make sure that the tree can flourish for the next year. Secondly, we're going to plant some spring bulbs. Having bulbs that come up early means that there'll be a source of pollen for the first pollinators that emerge. These are things like queen bees that obviously we really want to survive and establish somewhere. So I want to make sure I've got some flowers that are coming up around that February-March window to make sure that those pollinators are catered for. I already have some daffodil bulbs, but I might go and see if I can get some snowdrops or other bulbs to plant with them as well. And thirdly, one of my big goals for this garden is to establish a patch to be a wildflower meadow. This is such an important food source and habitat for all sorts of native species, but it takes some time and preparation to make sure it will establish. My job for today is to plant a wildflower called yellow rattle. This is a semi-parasitic wildflower, and it actually slows down the growth rate of grass. Grass is wonderful, but it can outcompete wildflowers. So if you want to make space for wildflowers to flourish in your garden, you need to make a bit of room for them. The yellow rattle needs to go through a frost to really establish, so this is the time of year where we want to get that planted out, and then hopefully we can grow a wildflower meadow in spring and summer. I want to start by giving a bit of a lay of the land so you can see what I'm working with. In terms of making this a wildflower lawn, we actually have loads of different stuff just happening in this grass already. I can see lots of clover, we've got some random wildflowers that have come up. We've got these little brown things. I don't know what they are. I'm going to have to look that up, or maybe someone tell me what these are, that have come up all over the lawn. The thing I was most excited about when we looked at this house was the apple tree. These don't grow overnight, right? So this is something we are super lucky to have. But because we have been so busy just moving in and unpacking the house and stuff, I have not sorted any of this. There are just so many apples and they need processing. There are lots of birds that use ground fruit as a source of fuel throughout autumn and throughout the winter when food starts to become a little bit more scarce. So I don't want to be too tidy and get rid of all of these. But we do have a couple of things that I do want to remove. We have a few apples that are experiencing brown rot, like this. This is a fungal infection that if we don't pick those up, they can reinfect the tree, and it also spreads to the apples around it. So I want to remove any of the brown rot apples. I've read really conflicting things about whether or not you can compost things with brown rot on it. So if anyone knows definitively if I should or shouldn't be composting brown rot, if it breaks down or not, please tell me, because I'd be really intrigued to know. And then the other thing is I need to work out where in the garden I do want to have a wildflower patch, because wildflowers need nutrient poor soil. They don't thrive when there are loads and loads of nutrients in the soil. And obviously if we've got this big glut of apples, they are going to be feeding the soil so much nutrition, all of their kind of compounds. So if I do want wildflowers, I need to not be kind of making my own natural compost on the surface. I think around the tree, I just want to clear enough space to plant my daffodils. I want to harvest some of the apples first, and I want to get rid of the brown rot. And then I think that's my list in terms of the apples. I think it would be better to have the wildflower area somewhere else in the garden. I feel really hopeful about the biodiversity that already exists here. We had some verbena grow in the last couple of weeks since we moved in, and that is this beautiful late flowering purple plant. I love purple plants because I feel like pollinators really love purple plants. Bees seem to just beeline to purple plants whenever they're available. And also every time that I've seen a really awesome pollinator, like every time I've seen a hummingbird, hawk moth, I'll put a thing here, it's been on a purple flower, it's been on lavender or buddleia or something like that. So purple in my garden, love. And then look at these. I think these are called cyclamen because I saw some at Asda that they were selling that look just like this. But how cute is this? And I absolutely love over here, I've got these cyclamen here. It just looks like fairies live in this part of the garden. It's so whimsical to me. They look like little fairies dancing in the ivy. So yeah, love. I'm hopeful that we already have some other bulbs and things hidden under the soil, and we will find out what is here when it comes up next year. But yeah, that's what we're working with. Planting trees, bushes or flowers that will bear fruit and seeds is one of the most important things you can do for wildlife in your garden. It gives them a natural source of food that hopefully will come back year after year. But if this is something you don't have room for, you can put out supplementary food. Seed mixes, coconut shells, apples, pears and unsalted peanuts are all good options for birds. Just make sure what you're putting out isn't salted and doesn't contain dog biscuits, lentils or split peas. You can put small quantities of food out on the ground. This is especially great for birds like thrushes, dunnocks and robins. And if you're maintaining a bird feeder or table, it is actually recommended to wash it regularly. Birds can get diseases from congregating to eat together, so having as large a bird table as possible and cleaning it regularly can help to offset this. Also make sure you're keeping yourself healthy by washing your hands regularly whenever you're dealing with birds or wildlife. If you are going to be leaving out supplementary food, it's really helpful, especially through the winter, but please make sure that you are doing it regularly. If birds and other wildlife get used to being able to rely on your food source and it suddenly disappears, this can cause them problems. So if you do need to stop putting out food, do it gradually so that they can diversify their food sources before this one is cut off. I think this is a case where working out what is sustainable for you really comes into effect. If supplementary food is going to be too high maintenance, see if you can just add one fruit-bearing plant so that it will look after the birds by itself. Okay, so it might look like I've done absolutely nothing. But I think I have got all of the apples that have brown rot on them now. Picked up most of the ones that don't have holes in to have for us. And then the rest of the ones, these are the ones that are already being eaten by insects. They have holes in, they might be good for birds. So I'm just going to leave them. My kind of philosophy with this is if I am doing something that is for the sake of tidiness over the environment getting better, then that's not the value that we're holding. I don't want to just be doing garden chores for the sake of doing garden chores. I want to be doing garden chores for my enjoyment and for the sake of making cosy habitats and cosy environments for the wildlife that come here. So we don't need these apples picking up. That's my excuse. Say in the comments if you think I'm lazy. So back from the garden centres, I didn't find any yellow rattle. I spoke to one of the guys at one of the garden centres and he said he just doesn't think they have it in yet. And I looked it up and it's something that you really want to plant fresh when it's been freshly harvested from the last year's crop. And this is the time when that'll be being harvested. So I think that it's just not made its way through to the garden centre yet. It was a little bit disappointing, but I did also find out that you can plant it from August through to December. So we do have time to come around and plant the yellow rattle and it'll still establish this year. So we're going to put that to one side and I'll show you what I did get. So the first thing I did get was snowdrops. I absolutely love snowdrops. I think they're such a special flower. They're always one of the first ones that comes up. They can come up as early as January. And so it's just so nice after winter to get these first flowers blooming in your garden. And this is a garden that we don't know yet. So I don't know what plants to expect, what are going to come up already. But I really wanted to have some snowdrops. So I'm going to put these in a pot and then we will see in January, February, whether there were any snowdrops outside of the pot in the garden already. And then I was really excited when I went to get these, they had a display of loose bulbs. So you could get bulbs just raw, just loose. Then they had these paper bags to put them in. So I got 10 different tulip bulbs. I got so excited that I actually don't know what varieties I got. I definitely got some red and yellow ones. I think there was one called Red Riding Hood that I got as well. I can't remember. So we will find out in spring what these are, but very excited about that and very excited to find a sustainable way to buy bulbs. It's now raining and this is cosy gardening. So we're going to wait for the rain to pass and then the ground will be nice and soft and then we can get on with the gardening. When the rain passed, I got on to planting out my bulbs. After some further research, I found out that tulips are best planted later in the season, from mid-October to November, so I put them aside and I'll plant them out later. I put my snowdrops into these containers. I'm a big fan of just using what you have instead of buying something new, so this is what I had. Whatever bulbs you're planting will come with instructions on how deep to plant them, and make sure you're always planting pointy side up as that's where the stem will emerge from. I planted out my daffodils and I actually did end up putting a patch of snowdrops around under the tree. As a relatively newbie gardener, I'm going to be real, this process sometimes makes me feel so stupid. What, you just put seeds or a bulb in soil and something comes up? It can feel like you're missing something or there's too much to learn. It's not always you if something doesn't flourish, if it doesn't come up. The bulbs might be dry or something might have happened, so it's not that deep, just give it a go. The snowdrop packets said they like partial shade, like the dappled conditions they'd have in a woodland. So I placed the pots by the house in a patch that gets some shade and some sun. And now all I can do is try and keep this soil moist, and hopefully we'll have snowdrops in the spring.
Do you like my onesie?
It's got dinosaurs on it. Even with all the apples I'd left out, there was still too much for us to eat all in one go. So I decided to make chutney to preserve them. One of my other major goals for the garden is for it to be a source of food for us. I think growing our own food is one of the keys to community resilience in a climate crisis. Anyone who's ever grown their own food knows the wonderful problem of suddenly having far too much of one individual food item than you could ever eat yourself or just your household could eat, and trying to find as many people as possible to suddenly give away all of this crop to. Before we had gardens, we had a system of communal growing fields, and although lawns are great for sitting or playing out on, there is so much lost potential in our gardens to provide food for ourselves and for our communities. Whenever I eat food that we've foraged or has been grown by someone I know, it's just that little reminder that all of our food comes from the earth and that the earth is still producing food for us. All of these natural systems, they are still operating. They just need our help to restore them back to flourishing. Chutney is super simple. It is just apples, onions and vinegar with some spices, sugar, salt. Make sure your jars are squeaky clean and heated before you put the chutney in. Of course, I used recycled jars. And then your harvest can store for months, and you can experience the gratitude of enjoying what the earth has given you for months to come. Okay, so thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm too shy to record in the garden. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of Cozy Gardening. I hope that you felt cozy and wonderful. I have dreamed of having a garden like this for a long time that I can look after in this way. I can grow long patches without landlord telling me to cut bits down. The big issues in the world, they're going to need collective action to sort them out. But I think we lose sight of how the little things that we do have a good positive impact. As you can tell, this is going to be a bit of a learning process. I want this to be something that I can look after sustainably, and I'd love this to be something that can sort of look after itself. Obviously, nature's been running the show for thousands of years, and we've just shown up and created all these artificial environments that things can't live in and can't thrive in. But I think we can make things better. So yeah, thank you so much. If you did like this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, etc. When I've got some other videos, I'm going to put them here so you can watch one of those. And yeah, see you on the next one. Okay, bye.